We're going to move right into for the culture. So I'm assuming you've seen all of these or seen people sharing these things. And basically, what they're doing, from what I can tell, I mostly see them on Facebook. And what people are doing is they are uploading and sharing digitized art renditions of themselves in different scenarios, classic, artsy, futuristic, grunge, whatever the case may be. And basically what's happening is you upload these pictures to an app. The one I know about is called the
Hmm.
Lensa AI app.
Hmm.
And basically what people, it's trendy. You upload about 10 to 20 photos, selfies or portraits. And then this app uses AI to automatically create dozens or even hundreds of digital images called magic avatars. Of course, it's cool because you can change your color, your facial hair, you can change your hair, you can put in different outfits, give you different looks based on a whole bunch of different things. And I'll admit they do look cool.
Hmm.
Have you seen these? What is your first impression of some of these things? Is this something that's cool, or is this just like a new trend?
So it is a new trend. Anytime
A new
any
trend
sort of
in meaning new trend. I mean, in trendy, and then 2 weeks from now, we ain't gonna care about this anymore.
right,
Is this kind of like
right.
a long thing, or in
No,
one ear
this
and
is
out
a
the
short.
other?
It's a short thing. It's
Okay.
just to get it on Instagram and see all your cool kind of futuristic views. I mean, they have all these different things. So there's a couple of things that goes into this. First of all, when you upload your images to Lensa, there's a fee for this. So most
Oh,
people right
okay.
now are using the trial. So once the
Okay.
trial expires, they expires. They're trying to get all their photos in now so they can get their downloads, so they'll have them and save them. And once the trial is over, we out of here. I already got my pictures. I'm good to go. The
Mm-hmm.
second thing
Mm-hmm.
is I work in the AI and data space.
Okay.
So I don't do this anyway. First of all, the company that's running this is a Russian company. I think if you remember, maybe a year or so ago, where there was another thing where you uploaded images
Mm-hmm.
and AI did something and everybody was just
Yeah.
like, oh, this is cool, it's good, whatever.
It was the Face app, and it would
Right,
age you. So you could
right.
age yourself to like the 60s. If you're a 20-year-old or a 30-year-old, you could age yourself
You
up
can
to
age
age
yourself up, you
60.
can
Age
age yourself
say, yeah,
down. Yep.
right.
So
Mm-hmm.
that was trendy at the time. And you see that kind of went away. So the
Mm-hmm.
first thing is it's trendy. The second thing
Mm-hmm.
is there's a fee associated with it. The
Mm-hmm.
third thing is you are uploading this to whatever Russian company or whatever group it is. They have your face. I think I saw some people saying that they are some of the art that they're making from this is like nude art. It's not your body, but it's your face on like some nude art. And so
Mm-hmm.
now
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it's you got these images out here which looks like it could be your body, but it's not,
Mm-hmm.
and it's naked and it's just out there. The fourth thing about this is when it comes down to the way that they are training this data, they've taken the art styles of actual artists
Mm-hmm.
who do this for a living. They
Mm-hmm.
don't get any commission from this.
Compensation.
They
Uh-huh.
get no royalties. Many of these artists actually said, we don't want our art on here. And people who've spoken out, they got backlash that you're just trying to ruin the fun. And what the company did is they took more of their art and put it on the site to get
Mm-hmm.
images generated. So there's quite a few things at play here, but I think probably the biggest thing is it's not just AI making art, it's AI taking someone else's art form, training this data and giving you images for essentially at this point for free because you're on the trial. So you're stealing from these artists whose actual profession and career and livelihood this is, that they make money off of. So now you have this image. You can print it, you can put it in your house, you can post it on your social media, you can do all these things with it, and it's basically stolen art.
Right. So something that you mentioned, I think should be emphasized, right, is the Russian connection, because we already back in 2014, 2015, 2016, We have already had our experiences as it relates to data, as it relates to social media, and as it relates to how that data, how social media can be used against us. If you recall, Cambridge Analytica did this same thing, just not with biometrics, not with your face, not with AI, but what they did, they give you the highlight, they put all of these quizzes on Facebook. If you remember, you would be like, the quizzes would be like, answer these questions to find out which, I don't know, which girlfriends,
what your future is in 2025 or
right?
20 whatever.
What
Yeah.
what's your favorite girlfriend's? Which girlfriend's cast member are you, or which
Hmm.
friend's cast member, or what you were most likely listening to on your birth date or your birth
Hmm.
year? And they took all this information and created profiles, sold this information. Cambridge Analytica then either gave or sold this information to Russia, and they used that information to influence the 2016 presidential election that got Donald Trump elected, right? So, in my
Targeted
opinion,
advertising because of
and
you, the person who entered the data.
in my opinion, you would think that we'd be like, "Oh man, they got us. They got us.
Won't get me
Next
again.
time, I'm going to be smarter. Next time I ain't gonna do it. Next time I'm gonna tighten up my security. Next time I'm just not going to jump into this trend to where I just give you all my information, and what I get from it is little to no any sort of overall benefit for me outside of participating in this trend, which I ain't knocking nobody for participating in trends. I don't jump on them as much, hardly any, but hey, I ain't gonna knock you if that's something that you do. My problem with it is twofold, right? We've failed at protecting our data once, specifically as it relates to Russia. Why would we turn around and just not even
Give
have
them more.
any sort of thoughts, reservations at all the second time around, right? And that's number one. Number two, I have a problem with the people who have decided to do it. And then when people like me come and say, hey, remember Cambridge Analytica, remember data, your privacy and data is important. You know, this data could be used by outside governments to do X, Y, and Z. Be careful. I ain't telling you you are a sucker. I'm
But
saying
you
be
a
careful.
sucker.
I'm trying to be politically correct. Be careful. Oh well, if you use TikTok, it's funny. I find it funny that if you're using people telling me to be careful on using this app when they're using TikTok, or you've got your face on your driver's license,
They already got your picture anyway.
if you already gave all this data to Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and social media, they already got your data. So I don't even understand why now all of a sudden you're concerned. I'm like, yes, what's wrong with drawing a line and saying, hey, this is the line that I won't cross, or hey, you know what, I'm okay with sharing information, me sharing information to social media, right? What I don't like is me using a third party app that takes my data,
You don't know nothing about these people.
and I don't know
Just
what they're
upload
going to
these
do with
photos.
it, even if I am getting something that I can share on social media. I'd
Right.
rather share my information directly to social media versus sharing my information to a third party. They do whatever they're going to do with that data. I don't know what they're going to do with it, but if the end result is me getting this thing that I can then share on social media, it's like you're adding we constantly adding these
It's
third
compounding.
parties,
It's
right,
compounding,
right,
compounding, compounding.
and you're making it worse. Okay, you're right. I can't not make social media not use my data anymore because you're right. They already got it. But why I'm going to give them more? Why am I
More
going to give them equally as
15,
important.
10 to 15 images. It's one thing that you have my driver's license image. Sure,
Right.
that's one. But now you got you in different poses, different angles. They can map your
Different
full
different
entire
colors,
face.
different hair. They
Right.
you any sort of
Hair, glasses.
variation of
Right.
you, right? You're training this information to where they can use that. Perfect example, right? Perfect example. Stephen Curry, over I want to say over the past 2 days, had put out these videos of him in a practice gym in, it looks like street clothes. Maybe he had on some joggers, jogging pants, and whatever. And he was doing, we all know Steph Curry to be the greatest shooter in the NBA, right? In the history of NBA. But some of these shots that he was taking is just ridiculously. There's no way you can hit these things. I mean, full court, not even shooting regular, hawking it over his head and
Mm.
winning like 5 times in a row, right? Everybody's like, oh, that's unbelievable. We can't believe it. But it's Stephen Curry. So it's almost like, man,
It could
can he
happen.
actually do that?
Yeah.
Maybe he
It's
can do
plausible.
that. Right. If anybody can do it, it's him. Right. So we
Right.
kind of took those videos, even though it was unbelievable, we took those as that's what it is. Come to find out, they was using the deep fake.
It was altered.
It was altered, and he actually should. Stephen Curry
Oh.
was a part of it. It wasn't like he missed some shots, and then somebody took the video, edited it, and make it look like he hit them all. He was actually
He.
involved, and they actually showed you the technology behind him making those shots and actually putting. Not only was he not hitting the shots, but then they took his face and put it on himself talking, and it made it look like it was him just talking while he's casually throwing his ball over his head and shooting these shots, right? So I say that to say, if they can deep fake and use your face to do something as silly as fake you making some basketball shots, imagine what they can do if they really want to mess with you. They can
And
put you in
listen,
places, they can put you in situations, they can put you in conversations that on video, that
look
is you.
authentic.
That
Yeah.
is you talking. But you all day long, that ain't me. I wasn't even there. Look, video.
The video
This is
says
you.
you are.
Right. So all that to say,
And as Black people, we already got enough
have a
stuff going
problem with
against
video.
us.
Oh my God. You
Right.
imagine,
Oh my
imagine.
God.
So not to be a doomsday person, not to be a,
But it's real.
right, not to be a party pooper, not to be one of those people to where it's like, oh,
Yeah,
super
ruin all the
privacy.
fun.
Hey,
Yeah.
right, right, Debbie Downer, right? But at the
Mhm.
same time, there's something to be said about how much information we're given to social media, and it's
Yeah.
okay to every once in a while be like, hey, what's this that I'm doing? Let me look into it a little bit more. Let me do a little bit more research and let me have some reservations. And oh, let me see. This seems kind of new. Let me see what, give it some time
Yeah.
and see what this is actually going to happen before I decide to throw all in. Again, not trying to wreck the party, not trying to spoil your plans, not trying to say, you giving your data to Satan or anything like that. But at the same time, it's like, what's wrong with saying, hey, you know what? Going forward, especially with Russia,
Yeah.
especially that we've been burned by
Especially with
Russia,
them.
let's pump the brakes on this one a little bit, so that's my whole thing. It's just like maybe we should take the time to be a little bit more careful and not be so quick to jump on these trends,
Yeah.
especially as it relates to giving up data.
Yeah, because these 2 minutes of uploading data and these couple days of the fun could have lasting implications for many, many years to come, many, many years down the road. You just never know.
Now you're on the internet begging somebody to believe you. It's like, look, video say you was there.
So you was there.
All right, so the second thing I want to talk about in for the culture, and this was happening like
Real time.
today. Yeah.
They're still updating now. Yeah.
Right. So the last updates I got were from the New York Times. I saw this picture to where it looks like, and it appears that United States and Russia, speaking of which, have come to a agreement, and they have finally freed Brittney Griner in exchange for a this guy's name is Victor Bout. He
Hmm.
was a Russian arms dealer that had been imprisoned on drug charges. The video and the story that I'm looking at now, they're showing a video of the gentleman Victor Bout
Hmm.
being reunited. Looks like on a tarmac. Oh no,
Hmm.
they're showing doing exchange.
Yeah, the
Brittney
exchange.
Griner, yeah, Brittney Griner's on one side and this Victor guy is on the other side, and they kind of exchange on the tarmac in like movie style fashion, right?
Real movie style.
Doing the exchange. So, congratulations. We can finally breathe a sigh of relief. The folks that have been always championing for Brittney Griner, even when it appeared that we had changed the subject. We talking about the elections, Raphael Warnock and Herschel Walker and all these things. There are some people who are still out there, but free Britney though, right?
Yeah.
Everybody gets to, and of course Brittney Griner gets to, and her family gets to breathe a sigh of relief that she's home. Even if we did have to give up this Russian arms dealer. So I just wanted to get your opinions, your outtakes, and your response to the people who are saying, "Hey, free Britney and everything," but should we have given up a Russian arms dealer?
So, first of all, so happy that she is finally home. I saw the video. It looks like I don't know if she decided to cut her dreads or if they cut them for her or what the case may be, but she doesn't have her dreads anymore. But she is on a plane home. She was in the UAE. I think that's where the meeting point was. So
Mm-hmm.
she's on the plane home. So I'm sure her family is ecstatic. I think the country, well, a population of the country is breathing a sigh of relief that she is back. Um, I don't think there was anything less that they could have swapped her for. It had to be something of significance because they knew that they were holding all the chips because she's a famous basketball player. She's well known. This whole thing was politicized. You have the war in
Mm-hmm.
Ukraine. This guy was an arms dealer. I think he actually spent 25 years in prison here. So I think that was another thing that was like, he's done significant time here
Mm-hmm.
in the States. So, it does seem lopsided from the fact that she was detained for having some hash oil in her luggage, and he was, incarcerated because he was selling guns to kill, American, officials. I think it was like DEA agents or something like that. That's what the guns would have, gone for. So I think, in the terms of what it actually is, that's about the best we had to give up something for her, and freeing this guy who's been in jail for 25 years. That's good for their propaganda. They're meaning Russia. So it had to be kind of like a win-win, so to speak, for both sides.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where that kind of sits. Um, what I think I'm the most distressed by is the number of white Americans and Americans who are like, well, she did the time, she did the crime, she should do the time. She
Mm-hmm.
didn't really do a crime.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the kind of sticking point. But again, this is a black queer woman,
Mm-hmm.
and she's a woman, she's black first of all, so
Mm-hmm.
nobody wants to give a black person any type of leniency. Then she is queer, she's married to a woman, so that's against the Lord, so that's another thing. And then she's a woman, and you know how many people in this country treat women. So it's one of those things where she was in a very perilous situation being who she
Mm-hmm.
was as a famous person, and then her other identifiers being black, queer, and woman made it even more dangerous for her to be there. And I want to say I watched something from I think the from a girl who was in a rock band. I think it was Pussy Riot, but I'm not 100% sure that's the
Mm-hmm.
name of the
Yep,
band.
that's the name
And
of it
she,
was.
yeah, and she was in that same prison for 2 years, and
Mm-hmm.
she talked about how
The
bad it was.
atrocities, yeah.
Right. And again, this woman is 6'8". Do you think they made accommodations for her sleeping arrangements for her
Mm-hmm.
6'8" body to
Right.
fit on a cot?
Right.
for her to be able to get in and out of spaces because she is so tall. And then when you factor in that she's queer, that's even more dangerous for her. So again, I am grateful that she has now, made her way home. And it goes to show people Biden's not doing nothing, Kamala's not doing nothing, America's not doing anything. They aren't going to tell you what they're doing to free somebody of this at this level. They're not going to give you state secrets, CIA, NSA information. They're not going to go and brief you on those type of things. These type of things are done in cloak and dagger, and it looks like nothing is happening. Then all of a sudden it's done, and then you're like, well, ain't nobody tell me. Blah, 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 blah. They aren't supposed to. You aren't supposed to be privy to this type of. This isn't how it works. I think
Right.
those all those years with Donald Trump have gotten people thinking that the government works in this weird kind of way. That's not how any of this works.
Right. Right. I just find it funny that, the same people were like, free Britney and shame on Russia for detaining her, which, to answer your question about the people's like, oh, she did the crime. Now she got to do the time. Come on now. Let's be real. Russia identified, knew who she was, and just needed just a little bit of something in order to use her to get
Mhm.
what they wanted. They completely
They knew she
used
was coming
Brittany
because she
Griner,
plays basketball over there for years, so
and
they
they
know her.
they knew who she was. They probably
They knew
let
she
her
was coming.
slide a couple times before, and which is why she was probably like, "What's the big deal?" It wasn't. She wasn't didn't have suitcases.
She
A
had a
lot of
single
people.
vial.
Right, right, right. She wasn't didn't have hemp oil strapped to her body like a drug
Right.
mule, because
Yeah.
that's where in my mind that's what people think when they say, oh, you did the crime, you do the time. No, it was none of that. She was targeted and exploited and
Yep.
used to get
For
this guy
political
or get
reasons.
or for political reasons overall, right? So that's number
Hmm.
one. It's like, relax on the
Chill.
that's what she get. She shouldn't have been over there doing that. Come on now, stop it. Number
Yeah.
two, I find it funny. I find it super funny that folks, especially folks that look like us, free Britney, free Britney. How dare Russia use her as a pawn for political games? But then you tell them, hey, that app you using to use your face to put it all over social media, that's 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 a Russian
Same
app
people.
owned by a Russian company. So how concerned are you about this government and what they're doing if you will gladly trade your own data over to the Russian government in order to be cute on Facebook and on Instagram? But hey, that's just me.
It's not adding up. It's the math isn't mathing. It's not adding. Doesn't make sense.
So yeah, but all that to say, like I said, happy that she's home. Regardless of what's sad about this whole thing is that other guy, the other jailed American, Paul Whelan. They tried to get him in the swap as well, but they couldn't get him with Griner at the same time because his name was brought up.
Yeah.
You know,
As a
as
two for
another
one.
person. Yeah,
Yeah.
as another person, that was jailed, was targeted, and, was also trying to be used by the Russian government as a pawn to get, leverage on the United States. And unfortunately, he was not a part of this deal. So,
Right.
according to the story, the family, is still continuing to fight, but also continuing to suffer. So I can imagine being his family. It's like, man, y'all let old girl go, but y'all ain't get, So
So
I can
yeah, so with
imagine.
so with so with that, a lot of people are trying to use that as a negative again because, anything to beat down a black woman.
Mhm,
Um they were talking about that. The family this time got a heads up to say he's not going to be a part of this. I think
mhm,
previously they didn't know and it was kind of like a shock. This time they're keeping the family in the loop. Secondly, the family made a statement saying we're happy that Brittany Griner was released. We're happy that she was wrongly detained and that she's coming home. And they agreed that the president and the vice president made the right decision to go ahead and get her released because they were aware that it could possibly happen that one of them could be released and not the other. The second thing around this is I looked up what this guy was in jail for.
Mm-hmm.
He was in jail for espionage. He was a
Mm.
military spy.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's not
That's kind
everybody's
of
kind
part
of
of the game.
right. Everybody's kind of looping them together. She
Right.
was arrested for having one vial of
Right.
hash oil. He was arrested as a military spy from America spying
Right.
on Russia. So
Right.
it takes letting out an arms dealer for 25 years who'd
Right.
already done 25 years for a single vial of hash oil. If that
Right.
actually did happen, if that's what she actually did have, that's still, I think, in question.
Right.
Imagine, just
What they would have to do to
imagine
give up this
what they
dude.
would have to give
Yeah.
up a US military spy who was
Mm-hmm.
caught
Yeah.
spying on Russia. So people are trying to just automatically loop them in together, saying,
Mm-hmm.
why didn't we get both of them? The reason you didn't get both of them because one person had a small amount of
Yeah.
weed.
The
The other
offenses are not the
person
same.
was spying on the country that they were arrested in on behalf of the US government.
Right.
So, not the same.
Yeah, definitely
Not
not the
the same.
same. But if I was old boy's wife or kids or whatever, I'd put out the statement: United States is they let us know whatever. But in the back of my mind, it's like, God
Yeah. Yeah.
damn
And
it.
the government said, the US said they're still that Russia is the reason why obviously he wasn't able to come home. They aren't treating Brittney's case the same as they're treating Paul Whelan's case, which makes
Mhm.
sense because the cases
Are
are
different,
different. So
right?
it's one of those things where it is on the mind of the public. The Whelan say they're going to keep, fighting it. President Biden said they're going to keep trying to get him home. But again, what he's in jail for over there, I don't know what America can give them other than the end to the Ukrainian war or stopping,
Right,
aid to
right,
Ukraine
right.
would get this, military person home.
Which, I mean, personally, I wouldn't be mad at. It's like we got other things. Anyway, continue. All right.
Different story.
Let me not get in trouble on my own podcast.